Actually, this isn't ska. And it's songs like this where I'm like, this sounds like AJR. I'm not an AJR expert, but this is giving like heavy AJR here. And I know like that's another band that people like love to hate. Go on like any of those other like music rating forums, you say AJR bad and people are like, hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jerry Bees. And finally, we get to 21 Pilots. Blurryface, everybody. Come on now. Everybody wanted it. Everybody's going to get it. This isn't the most requested album or artist that I've had, but a lot of people have been clamoring for me to do 21 Pilots. And it's been one of those things where it's like, do I do 21 Pilots? Do I not do 21 Pilots? And I eventually concluded that I should do 21 Pilots. But why did I have an ambivalency? Why did I have any hesitation to do it previously? Well, especially in the case of tonight's album, Blurryface, I already know a lot of the songs on this album, the hits, right? I was in high school when this album came out. I actually don't know the year. What year did it come out? 2015. Yeah, so that was my junior year of high school. You could not get away from Stressed Out or Ride, I think, and you know, those being the two biggest hits off the album. I've definitely heard those. I think I know Tear in My Heart and Heavydirtysoul. One of the things that stood out to me, particularly when this album was released, though, it wasn't just those songs. If you liked 21 Pilots, you ate this album up. And I've never listened to this album front to back, so that's what we're finally getting at. We will see the hits in the context of the album, and I really like some of the songs that we're going to get into, the songs that I've heard. But it was one of those things when I was in high school where it was, you know, me being a music chad of sorts, right? You know, some people could say like, you know, I could like, oh, I know that song, I know this song and all this crap, at least as compared to my peers at that age. And a lot of people looked down on 21 Pilots. You know, it's like, oh, I just can't stand it. They suck. All this yada, yada, yada. And I was like, yeah, okay, they suck. You know, and I kind of got peer pressured into like not listening to 21 Pilots, which sucked because even before this album came out, there was this great old radio station where I live, 88.7, The Sound, and they played a lot of local artists from Northeast Ohio. That's where I hail from. Artists from Ohio. And they would play this song called House of Gold by this band called 21 Pilots. And I think that was in 2013, 2014. And I was like, oh, damn, like, I really like this song. And some of the other songs on Vessel, and I'd listen to that, but then fast forward a couple years, now we have Blurryface, and now they're everywhere. And I really got that, like, okay, I just hear this song so much. I don't like the song. I hear it way too much. I get that you might not like the band or like that song because it's overplayed. But there was always something about this, the songs on this album in particular, the way that they were produced, the way that the composition that was laid out, always really intrigued my ears. Now, we won't get into it too much, but down the line, as 21 Pilots would come out with songs, I think the easiest one would be maybe Heathens for the Suicide Squad soundtrack. You know, not the best movie, maybe not the best song. And so I feel like they, from what I've heard of 21 Pilots, they really do operate between making shit that I think sounds really good and really interesting and then just like commercial core, I guess. But the stuff that I really like, I really, really appreciate. I'm not just saying that because they're local boys, right? Come on now. And if you are a 21 Pilots fan, please do let me know your thoughts on my thoughts as we continue on with this album. Let me know if there's any context I'm missing, if you don't like my take, if you do love my take, you like the approach I took with this, you like that perspective, let me know. I'd love to hear what you have to say. If you ever want to see us live reacting to any given album, go ahead and click one of the links down in the description and make sure you pay attention to my post tab here on YouTube or on my Patreon for free. I announce when I'm going live and what I'm reacting to. But if you happen to miss one of these streams and you want to see the full uncut version before it comes out on YouTube, you can get exactly that on my Patreon for just $1 a month. Coming in at 52 minutes, 23 seconds. We got 14 tracks, so actually no real odysseys, but pretty consistent times between 3 and 4 minutes. This is Blurryface by 21 Pilots from 2015. First track, Heavydirtysoul.
There's an imposition in my mind's imagination. The hope and the choke I'm smoking them like a basement. This is not rap, this is not hip hop. Just another attempt to make the voices stop. Mr. Misty, I'm there for. Can you save my?
Yeah, I've heard this one before.
Can you save my
All right. So that was the album opener, Heavydirtysoul. And once they got into the chorus, I've heard this before, so I don't know how much of this is going to be a reaction rather than a review, but I think there's still something to get out of that, considering I've never listened to any of these songs in this context, where I'm really trying to pick up on the lyrics, the production, the composition, and all that, and really looking at it within the context of the album as well. And I think for an opener, without hearing the rest of the album, this one, it catches my attention. The chorus is catchy as hell. And I think that this song, as long with a lot of other 21 Pilots songs, really emphasize everything that I have found in my experience that the band is really good at and what really separates them apart, which is the blending of genres really seamlessly, I think, and like I said, I know that, at least in my experience and maybe in some online discourse, that 21 Pilots does have a lot of detractors, and maybe you can hear, white boy rapping really fast at the top of this going like, oh, it's just another like white boy rap rock crossover. And I can understand that to a degree, but for me, it's like how seamlessly they can go into this like breakneck rapping at such a heavy pace to then go into this, alt pop kind of chorus here that is utterly catchy as hell. I don't know how you can say that it's not. Now, I think on the song as a whole, we do get maybe too many callbacks to the chorus. Like, it is a little repetitive, but it's whatever. It is like a perfect radio song in that degree. I'd never really heard this lyric. Death inspires me like a dog inspires a rabbit. And that one actually kind of got me thinking. I do like that line, death inspires me like a dog inspires a rabbit. When you think of yourself as a rabbit and you see a dog, you want to run away to save your own life. So the concept of death, he's not looking to end things soon. He's looking to make sure he gets as far away from death as possible. Can you save my heavy, dirty soul? He wants to rid himself of whatever impurities that he has to, make his life better here. And I don't know, I'd never heard or read a line like that before. So props on that. And again, the beats were crazy, when the song starts off. And that's like one of the things that I think kind of precedes 21 Pilots as well, is the percussion. It's the lyric. No, truly, it's so good. Tyler also writes all the lyrics. There's also religious undertones to a lot of their lyrics. Yeah, I mean, you can extrapolate soul in that sense, or maybe soul in maybe more of a secular sense of something that's within you, but also kind of greater than you as well. Gangsters don't cry, therefore I'm Mr. Misty-eyed. which so he's just like, you could have just said simply, I'm not a gangster. I'm an emotional man right here. So I'm vulnerable. I want to live. I want to rid myself of these impurities. Like I said, yeah, this is a decent way to start things off here. And so we'll keep it going. We will keep it going here. Okay. All right. Here's the deal, folks. I've heard this song about 1,000,000,001 times for sure. It is like, I think this song has the most iconic opening, one of the most iconic openings of any song made in the last 20 years, 25 years since the start of the millennium. Honestly, this is, usually I wait until we're done with the song to talk about it, but everybody has heard this song, and this was like the one song that everybody's heard just 1,000,000,000 times, and like, oh my God, 21 Pilots again. But this was but it's this song that made me go like, yeah, 21 Pilots sucks, but it's like, I still listen to this song. It's because of that opening and the sounds that they're using there, just like, it makes my ears perk up like, dude, like, what the hell is this? I think it just goes to show how much attention they pay to the composition. Because, I don't know, no other band sounds like this to me. Maybe they do. Maybe you're a cooler person than I am. And you go, well, actually, this band sounds like this, and that band sounds like this. But these guys were lucky enough to get that sound out to the masses. And I think that we were the better for it. I think this song slaps. So it's a review. We'll sit back. We'll analyze it afterwards. I don't think I've really ever paid attention to the lyrics. So we'll give this a go. But it's Stressed Out by 21 Pilots. You've either heard this song or you haven't.
Their voices sang some better words. I wish I found some chords in an order that is new. I wish I didn't have to rhyme every time I sang. I was told when I get older all my fears would shrink. But wish we could turn back time to the good old days when the mama sang us to sleep, but now we're stressed out.
It's good shit, pal.
A certain smell will take me back to when I was young. How come I'm never able to identify where it's coming from? I'd make a candle out of it if I ever found it. Try to sell it, never sell out of it. I probably only sell one. Name's Blurryface and I care what you think. My name's Blurryface and I care what you think. Build a rocket ship and then we fly it far away. Used to dream of outer space, but now they're laughing at the face, saying, wake up, you need to make money. Yeah. We used to play pretend.
We used to play pretend, bunny. We used to play pretend, wake up, you need the money. Used to play pretend, bunny. We used to play pretend, wake up, you need the money. Used to play pretend, you need to make money. Yeah.
Call me an NPC, but I like this song. I like this song. And it's something like, you know, between the last two songs, it's something that I've kind of picked up about 21 Pilots is their switch ups are kind of like so hard where it feels like there's like multiple songs in each song. Most of the time, I don't think that they sound so different where it feels like a completely different song. It's like, okay, this all kind of makes sense, you know. And I know like the big joke was like, I wish I found some better sounds no one's ever heard. I wish I had a better voice that sang some better words, found some chords in an order that is new. And people were like, oh, yeah, I wish you found better sounds too, because this song sucks, right? I remember hearing a lot of that. But I'm over here thinking like, shit, in 2015, I had never heard anything like this before. This was like so new, and I think that was like exciting. I don't really care if it was, I don't care that it's like very on the nose here, right? It is very like so utterly poignant in its, not poignant, that's the wrong word, but it is like so utterly shameless in its insecurity, right? Where, hey, this dude's making music and he wishes that it was better, and like that doesn't make him special. Everybody thinks that they would sing better words to be better than the next person to achieve more success. But at the same time, but like that's like kind of the whole point of the song. He's not only stressed out about that, but it's about, you know, growing up, right? It's about being stressed out. You used to pretend, and now you're trying to become a professional musician, singer, songwriter, performer, all of that. And, you know, there's a lot of money to be made there. And more money, more problems, so to speak, right? I don't think there's anything much deeper than that. And so, you know, maybe to some critic, and I'm I'm apologizing. I am going to be like the biggest 21 Pilots apologist here, at least just for this song. You know, we will see how the album goes. Maybe I'm not in tune with the rest of the album as I find songs that are new to me and that I generally have not heard before. But this was one that's like, it is a fine, fun song. I think it is. It brought some sounds that I had never heard before. So, all right, moving on. Okay, I'm stopping it again. Heard this song a billion times, and I actually listen to this song quite often. I do like this song a lot. It's got that awesome reggae beat to it. Little known Jerry B's fact for you. I was born to the reggae like radio station. My mom wanted to put on some calming music. So they told the people in the hospital room, like, hey, you know, just put on the reggae station. And I was born to reggae. I've listened to a fair bit of reggae, but it's reggae in the sense that like they're putting more stuff into it. There's a lot more electronic sound in this that I think works really well. This might be my favorite 21 Pilots song. This is a phenomenal highway song. Great song to enjoy some herbal essences too, as well, if you catch my drift. I think this song is great. I love this song. So I'm very excited to get into the songs I haven't heard before, but I am also really excited to listen to this song. I was excited for this stream because I was like, ooh, I get to listen to Ride today. So let's listen to Ride.
I just wanna stay in the sun where I find, I know it's hard sometimes, pieces of peace in the sun's peace of mind. I know it's hard sometimes, so I'm falling, so I'm taking my time on my ride.
Oh yeah, focus.
I'm falling, so I'm taking my time on my ride.
It's good shit, pal.
take. We have a list of people that we would take. A bullet for them, a bullet for you, a bullet for everybody in this room. But they don't seem to see many bullets coming through. See many bullets coming through. Metaphorically, I'm the man, but literally, I don't know what I do. I'd live for you, and that's hard to do. Even harder to say when you know it's not true.
I've been thinking too much.
This bridge rocks.
I've been thinking too much. I've been thinking too much.
Oh, man.
I've been thinking too much.
I'm falling, so I'm taking my time. I've been thinking too much. Help me. I've been thinking too much. Help me.
I mean, I don't know. This is a great song. I love listening to this song, and now that I'm seeing it in the context of the album, you know, of being stressed, of calling back to times when you were younger, when it was simpler, you know, wanting to cleanse yourself of these, of wanting to cleanse yourself of this strife that you now have in your life, and it continues on here. Right? Again, it's not like biggest earth-shattering ways of putting these thoughts together, other than I do like the death inspires me like a dog inspires a rabbit. I found that to be quite nice. But it is consistent in those themes. And here, you know, this is kind of like a pacifying thing, you know, to remind yourself to take your time on this ride. So I don't know if that's getting from point A to point B, or maybe calling life the ride. And you know, I think this song emphasizes, again, a lot of what I have found to really enjoy about the 21 Pilot songs that I've heard, which is not only, you know, blending these genres, but how Tyler's voice can go in between those genres. So, you know, we've heard that he can rap at breakneck pace, but also, like, he hits those falsettos, you know, I've been thinking too much. Better than my falsetto. Much better than my falsetto, goddamn. It's a fun listening experience, and I think if you find greater meaning out of it, awesome, amazing. But for me, it is just a bop. It is just a bop with some things to get out of it production-wise, because the drop is just amazing.
Oh, I'm taking my time on my ride.
It's just so full and nice to my ears, and it's paced very well. None of these songs so far have really, I think have overstayed their welcome to any degree. Maybe because I, was fairly familiar with Heavydirtysoul, and especially the last two songs I've heard so many times. Will that change as we go through the album? Some songs that I may have never listened to before, I don't know. But so far, I think things are paced pretty well. The themes are pretty consistent, but not saying the same things over and over and over again. Saying the same things, but in different ways, I think. Fairly local. Fairly local.
I'm fairly local. I've been around. I've seen the streets. Yo, I'm evil to the core. What I shouldn't do, I will. They say I'm emotional. What I wanna say about kill. Is that who I truly am? I truly proof in black like a funeral. The world around us is burning, but we're so cold. It's the few, the proud, and the emotional. I'm fairly local. I've been around. I've seen the streets. You're walking down. I'm fairly local. Good people now. Wanna say Bible try. I know who I truly am. I truly do have a chance. Tomorrow I'll switch the beat to avoid yesterday's dance.
Yo, this song will never be on the radio. You know,
I'm fairly local. I've been around. I've seen the streets. Good people now. I'm fairly local.
All right, so as far as an album goes and how an album progresses, I like this one. A lot of switch ups in the first 3 songs. Now we're getting something a little bit more atmospheric. I felt like I was able to breathe a little bit more. And I think given some of the lyrics, that kind of rings true. I feel like that, he's kind of talking about this character that's almost like a specter almost, it's like walking the streets at night and like seeing things, maybe not participating as much, but spectating in that sense. Really like this line, this song will never be on the radio, which I have never heard this song on the radio, right? I heard all the other songs on the radio, but not this one. And it's a little bit more atmospheric. And so like as an album experience, I like where this song is taking me, where, especially with Ride, just how it's very high energy, especially towards the end there. This one kind of brings us back down a little bit, but not so much to make me bored. Again, I really like where it put me. The production on those low ends, so I don't know, like the synths, on top are fantastic. Right? Some of those like borderline dubstep wub-wubs, I suppose. But the low ends, I don't know if that's like bass mod or like a kick drum mod or whatever, but like the reverb and the sustain on those just lasts, and it really creates a lot of space in the headphones. And I really like it. It's just so tasty, especially around this part here. So again, as far as like, kind of creating an atmosphere, lore started in this music. Oh, is there fucking lore? The song was Blurryface and Tyler kind of fighting the dominance over Tyler's psyche, by the way. Okay. I didn't know we'd be getting into like loose concept album territory then with this one. So is like that like lower voice there technically Blurryface, so to speak? Maybe this darker entity or this darker side of Tyler's personality? 21 Pilots has lore, and a lot of it is their lore, honey. You've got a big storm coming. And we will be moving on to Tear in My Heart. I've heard this one before. Haven't really looked at the lyrics, so this might be more of a review than a reaction, because I definitely have listened to this entire song in the past. Again, another just like huge song off of this album.
But it takes someone to come around to show you how she's the tear in my heart. I'm alive, she's the tear in my heart. The songs on the radio are okay, but my taste in music is your face. And it takes a song to come around to show you how she's the tear in my heart. I'm alive, she's the... You fell asleep in my car, I drove the whole time. But that's okay, I'll just avoid the hole so you sleep fine. You fell asleep in my car, I drove the whole time. But that's okay, I'll just avoid using my taxes to fill holes with more cement. Sometimes you gotta bleed to know, that you're alive and have a soul, But it takes someone to come around to show Carver she's a butcher with a smile. Cut me farther than I've ever been. My heart is my armor, she's the tear in my heart. She's a carver, she's a butcher with a smile. Cut me farther than I've ever been.
So, this was another one that was just like, the second you heard it, it was a radio hit. But now that I'm listening to it and reading the lyrics a little bit more intently here, he's not really breaking the fourth wall so much. Like the songs on the radio are just okay. So there's been multiple references to what is not on or what is on the radio here so far in this album, and that's fine, as an artist. So he's vulnerable in that sense, and vulnerable in the sense that, he's talking about, this emotional strife and, maybe bordering between ideation and like mental breakdown. But here it's vulnerability in a different way, to individuals that he's vulnerable with, like my heart is my armor, but she's the tear in my heart. Right. And I like this little scene here, that falling asleep in the car and trying not to hit the potholes. This is, if there is any lyric or any section or verse in any song that is seeping with Ohio, it is this one. Ohio and probably a lot of the other Rust Belt states is just like the capital for potholes. God, like, and they come out of nowhere sometimes. You're just driving down the road and you think your car is going to fold in half. And it's like, why? What is the deal here? There's this one road right by me. I swear to God. And there's no potholes on it, but they've done such a shoddy job at just like filling it with like quick cement or whatever. And it's like, I have to drive down it sometimes to get to things that I want to get to. And it is a rock polisher. I'm getting on my Ohio bullshit right now. Okay. But this is Ohio bullshit right here. This is Ohio bullshit. And honestly, you know, sonically, again, I think the song is jumpy. I think it's fun to listen to. I like it, you know, but that's subjective, right? I will say so far, this is like the one song that I can hear if it being a little bit derivative of one artist, but like in the best ways. This song has always given me very heavy Killers vibes. I think it's more so of a wearing your influence on your sleeve. I don't know if Tyler Joseph and Josh done the Killers, but I've always found this song to be very heavy Killers. Tyler's very influenced by the Killers. This song like screams Killers. To the point where I want to say one of the first times I heard it, like, is this a new Killers song? And I think that they get into, you know, like especially towards the end here, but I where it kind of differentiates. And again, you know, we're getting. This is much more Tyler's like indie pop, indie kind of vocals here. You know, no hip hop. So sonically speaking, this does separate itself from the album. I'm not really, you know, gonna knock it for that just because I do like the song. But it is, if it's not derivative of the Killers, it is paying homage to that kind of sound. And like I said, it's doing it in, I think, the best ways. Well, you're saying the next song is a masterpiece. So I guess we'll just get into that. I don't think it's another song that I've heard before. Lane Boy. I haven't heard this one yet.
They say you're lane boy, and we go where we want to. They think this thing is a highway, but will they be alive tomorrow? Darkness, if it wasn't for this music, I don't know how I would have thought this. Regardless, all these songs I'm hearing are so heartless. Don't trust a few songs on this record that feel common. I'm in constant confrontation with what I want and what is popping in the industry. It seems to me that singles on the radio are currency. My creativity's on the free when I'm playing shows. They think this thing is a highway, but will they be alive tomorrow? Another list that exists and no one really wants to think about this. Forget sanity, forget salary, forget vanity, my morality. If you get in between someone I live and me, you're gonna feel the heat of my cavalry. All these songs I'm hearing are so heartless.
Maybe I'll have tomorrow.
Why not? Why not? Okay. So somebody said that this song was a masterpiece. I don't know about that, but it is very good. The more it played, the more I liked it. So obviously, you know, we're mentioning the radio again, but here it's taking a shot at the industry as a whole and maybe attacking, you know, some of those haters that I keep bringing up that didn't like, you know, regardless of all these songs, I'm hearing them so heartless. Don't trust a perfect person. Don't trust a song that's flawless. And to me, that means like you need to encourage creativity and curiosity within music. And that's what 21 Pilots has done for me outside of just not getting into them already. This being the one time that I'm finally doing that. You know, they think that this thing is a highway as far as, you know, it's a straight shot. Now there's winding roads. There's those roads with potholes, right? Sometimes you got to take the road with potholes to get to where you're going. And so, stay in your lane. Just do the one thing. To me, this kind of reminds me with, the subtle, not so like reggae beat in the background, but like Tyler's doing the whole hi-hat snare thing for a lot of the time. And they got that, like the plucking on the guitar, but maybe it kind of carries over from Ride. I don't know how like much Caribbean influence there is in that rhythm. There's people that are maybe more well equipped to speak on music theory. They can let me know. But just from listening to that, it does remind me of, this is another band that I really love, and people are like, oh my God. But 311, they had their song Mixed Up, which is a great 311 song. And in that song, they're kind of saying like, hey, we're going to do rock, we're going to do reggae, we're going to do a little bit of rapping. This is us. You take us or you leave us. And that's kind of what I'm getting here as well. And so they're saying all that. I'm like, okay, I like this approach. They've kind of hinted at, like where they stand in the rest of the music industry or like the rest of the scene. But here they're dedicating a full song to it. And it gets down to the point to where it's more instrumental and that crazy breakdown happens to where they're really practicing what they're preaching here, right? They're not going to give you something straightforward all of the time. And if you don't like us being not in our lane, we're really not going to be in our lane because we're going to do a whole bunch of wub-wubs and synth crap that is going to throw you off. It threw me off. So this one was a fun ride. I don't know masterpiece wise, but I like this one a lot. Again, they're doing a lot of things. This was obviously a little bit more of a rapping one, but with a lot of not only like electronic elements, but that live drumming is still very present within it. So there's just a lot of layers and shit to pay attention to. Josh is the drummer. Josh, I don't know if I said Josh or Tyler, but what.
Secret hideaway. He must have forgot to close his door as he cranked out those dismal chords, and his four walls declared him insane. I found my way, right time, wrong place, as I pled my case. Set me free. I know my soul's freezing, hell's hot for good reason. So please take me. Na 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 na. Oh, actions and I hide behind my mouth. I'm a pro at imperfections and I'm best friends with my doubt. And now that my mind's out and now I hear it clear and loud, I'm thinking, wow, I probably should have stayed inside my house. I found my way, right time, wrong place, as I pled my case. You're the judge, oh no, set me free. I don't know if this song is a surrender or a rebel. I don't know if this one is about me or the devil. I don't know if this song
Time change?
I know my soul's freezing, hell's hot for good reason. So please,
Ben Folds looking ass.
you're the judge. No, no, no. Set me free.
All right, so that was The Judge, and I can't help but think that this one plays into the lore of maybe, it's Tyler versus this maybe Blurryface character, this darker persona, so to speak, and it's really a cry for help. It's a cry of like, dude, just get the fuck out of here. So whether or not you're surrendering, if this is about me or the devil, so there's this evil part of him, or this part he wants to rid himself of, that may be either the cause of his anguish or like controlling maybe some of the more unsavory aspects of his personality, or like psychology in a way. But then like sonically, like like that's like fucking crazy because like this song for the most part's like kind of, hey, how's it going? You know, like this part right here. Like I almost want to go like, join us for Toyota wait, no, what's it called? I gotta do this bit right. Cause like this bit is like kind of like commercial core. Join us for Honda Days and get the 2016 Honda Civic, 29% off MSRP, no payments for 3 years. Right? It's like that kind of shit. And it starts out with the ukulele, and I'm brought back to when I was listening to the radio, because I'm a boomer zoomer, right? In 2012, 2013, or whatever it was, when 88.7 played fucking House of Gold for the first time, and I'm like, who the hell are these guys? Right? That was my first experience with 21 Pilots. Very different than I think a lot of the songs on this album, but that's a nice maybe callback to what they were doing on their first album. You can take the ukulele from the boy, but you're not going to take the boy away from the ukulele. So it's really interesting how, you know, this song's arguably, I think, the most desperate that Tyler's being as far as like something that he's trying to rid himself of, something that he's trying to get to, right? To be free of this affliction. However, it sounds so optimistic and so cheery through the most part. And then we get the halftime change, and then, you know, we get this Ben Folds ass fucking... Which, honestly, if we're talking about that, because I saw somebody bring up Jason Mraz, between Jason Mraz, The Killers, Ben Folds, in a way, I do think that 21 Pilots kind of operates as this perfect breaking off point from the music that got popular in the mid-2000s and maybe early 2010s to what we would finally get in the 2020s as far as just new sounds overall. So here are those things that we can take from The Killers, from maybe Jason Mraz, or like whatever it is, these sounds that we're already kind of familiar with, and turn them into something new. So this is all new cheese to me. Jerry B's and new cheese. I don't know why I just said that, but I did. So now we're gonna get into Doubt.
See this ever stopping, shaking hands with the dark parts of my thoughts. No, you are all that I've got. No, don't forget about me. Don't forget about. Gnawing on the bishops, claw away up their system, repeating simple phrases. Someone wholly insisted, want the markings made on my skin to mean something to me again. Hope you haven't left without me. Hope you haven't left without me. Please. Oh, no.
So I can't tell if this one, because it's a little bit more atmospheric, and so like the last where it just wasn't like there wasn't just like a ton of shit happening in this song. It, you know, for what the song is, just listening to it on its own, it's a chill little song, man. That's just what it is. The sounds, it just this album is just produced and mixed so well to my ears. I really like it. I like the atmosphere in this one. But I don't know if this one's another one that's like continuing on with the lore, you know, and I can see if maybe some of the people that don't like 21 Pilots, it's just like, oh, dude, come on, you're just talking about you're just like flat out, you know, like scared of my own immaturity, scared of my own uncertainty. Maybe it might be more of a thing where you appreciate an artist who shows you and who like kind of like shows you what they're feeling instead of just like straight up telling you. And as far as like what you get out of songwriting, I think that might be a valid criticism, but if you've made it this far, through the album and that's what you're still criticizing, then I think you just got to look at this for what it is. Maybe you still don't like it. I don't know. Hopefully that point made sense. Maybe you appreciate metaphor a little bit more. Maybe you appreciate a little bit more subtlety. But here I'm just taking it for what it is, and don't forget About Me. So I don't know if he's ridding himself of this, if there's like some like Stockholm syndrome deal kind of going through as he's like ridding himself of this darker part of himself, or if this is about somebody else in his life. I don't really know. Trenchant, more focused or more lore. Okay, so other albums apparently are a little bit more lore focused, but whether or not that's the case, I like that if an album can lay the tracks down for maybe something more to get out of it other than just the song, some overarching themes or an overarching narrative throughout it that I can kind of pick apart. If you've seen my reaction to Folklore by Taylor Swift, you will know what I'm talking about. Now, gnawing on the bishops, clawing our way up the system, repeating simple phrases someone wholly insisted, want the markings made on my skin to mean something to me again. Are these boys like Reformed Catholics? Mentioned it earlier, but the song is basically asking God to not forget about him. I did not see that. So, oh, wait, now all that makes so much goddamn sense. Even when I doubt you, I'm no good without you. Okay, so that makes sense here. That makes sense here with this. Yes, okay, cool. Yes, okay, God, yes, okay.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Faux shiz.
Finally got it. Doubting his faith. Doubt. Yes, the Meryl Streep movie where she plays a fucking nun. Yes. Polarize.
Help me polarize, help me out. My friends and I, we got a lot of problems. But to the evil I have none to show to the one I love. But tonight, ooh. Help me polarize, help me down. Those come and go. You'll have to come and find me. Help me polarize, help me out. Singing out, we have problems, yeah.
So I even am kind of thinking that this, because the chat's helping me out a little bit here. Domingo and Fuego. I knew what Fuego means. I forgot what Domingo meant. So Sunday on fire. And then we get this little gospel organ here at the end. It's still a little religious, I think. But there's aside from that, this little bit right here. It's like the Halloween soundtrack, like the John Carpenter movie, right? You fucking Michael Myers type shit, halos and shit here. Think I lost my halo, so more on the religious side of things here on this one as well. Help me polarize. So maybe I said a little bit too early. As far as him wanting to free himself from what he's done and, this other side of him through, wanting to be a better adversary to the evil I've done, right? Maybe it wasn't so much in the last song, but I feel like that's definitely kind of the case here. I don't know. Again, if I'm wrong or I'm right, I don't necessarily care because this is my first time reacting to this, right? I'm not going to get it the first time. I might, but it's also I like when you give me something and I try to connect the dots, it's just more so the internal activity on my end that I get out of it, and it might be a different case for everybody else. So even if there is a heavy lore, no, this is what this means, at the end of the day, if you're hearing this song out of context, not on the album. Maybe I don't know who's listening to Polarize, just like on a playlist or something. But if somebody else hears it, like, oh, okay, I got something out of this that's separate from maybe the picture, the whole picture. So, yeah, as a song, this one was perfectly fine. I think we're definitely getting into territory where I'm not as crazy about all the songs, but it's still, they're just, I think just this particular 21 Pilot sound really meets my ears and my heart very well. Very well. We don't believe what's on TV.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. To kill our dreams, I need to know that when I fail, you'll still be here. Don't care what's in your hair, I just wanna know what's on your mind. I used to say I wanna die before I'm old, but because of you I might think twice. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Cause if you stick around, I'll sing you pretty sounds and we'll make money selling your hair. But I don't care what's in your hair, I don't care what's in your hair, I just wanna know what's on your mind. I used to say I wanna die before I'm, yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
How fun. How fun was that one? And it's crazy that it's fun because sonically here, I'm getting like very heavy, like it's just poppier emo folk punk. This is like, AJJ, formerly Andrew Jackson Jihad, or like some of the other like bands, shit like that. And I can take or leave a lot of what like that kind of sound is, but like ukulele or just like, kind of just fast strumming on the guitar with, some horns in the background. It's just some emo folk punk, right? And that's what I was kind of getting from this. And I was just so entranced with the vibe. I didn't really pay that much attention to the lyrics on this one, but I like a ukulele song. How fun indeed. Giving a bit Lumineers. Lumineers are a little bit more spacey on the whole. I haven't listened to every Lumineer song, so you could have clocked that one, I guess. There's not so much ukulele in ska. But, the other thing that this song does provide us. Join us for Ford Truck Week. The new 2016 F-150. Zero down to its signing. Right? Something like that. I don't know. All right, moving on. Message Man.
Everyone, no leaf, you understand. Know my name, you don't know my heart. The way you know my face, you don't know what I've done. I'm wandering on the run, I'm wandering on the run. So I'm taking this moment to live in the future. Release me from the present, I'm a leaf, you understand. My people singing, my people singing. Vision to promote your show's next episode, so your brain knows to keep going even though it's far from this moment. But you and I know it gets better when morning finally rears its head. Together we're losers, remember the future, remember the morning is when that is dead. Release me from the present, my people singing. My
All right, it was weird because when the song first started and, we're doing the whole no part, yeah. Really danceable, really nice, and I didn't want it to change, and of course it did. I'm not going to, talk shit on it. as far as that goes, because it switched it up, I'm listening to the 21 Pilots song. Of course, they're going to switch it up. It's really becoming apparent, if it hasn't already become apparent, that this, constant callback to like, music is the way that he deals with these things. These are just triplets, wrote this in 3 minutes, 3 words to a line. It's just poetry divided. He's just, again, breaking kind of the fourth wall there. It is very meta to that point. Again, if you don't like the subtlety, or if you want something a little bit more subtle, this isn't going to be for you. But I like where they take me here. And I think it's kind of playing off the don't shoot the messenger kind of a thing here, with like the message man messing with the message, so to speak, where he's like, I'm just trying to like transcend my own reality here, dog. The way you know my name, you don't know my heart. The way you know my face. Somebody here in chat says that was their Facebook bio for years. You're in the home stretch. Hometown Not Today, and then Goner. Let's get into Hometown.
A shadow to display at me. Spirits in the dark are waiting. I will let the wind go quietly.
Be the sun. I know, you can bring the fire, I can bring the bones. I know, you make the fire, my bones will make it grow. Where we're from, there's no sun, bones in the dark. Our hometowns in the dark. All the gods your father served today. Put away your traditions, believe me when I say. We don't know how to put back the power in our soul. We don't know where to find.
A shadow to display at me. Spirits in the dark are waiting. I will let the wind.
Where we're from, there's no sun.
Not too many switch ups in this one, but I really like it because of that. It's just like a sad little dance song. It's got its peaks and valleys, so to speak, as far as, if you want to call it that, like that, the switch ups, but, we're not going from like, genre to genre, or like any like strong key changes or timing changes or anything like that. It is a straightforward, one of the more straightforward songs on this. And I think I really appreciate that, especially as we're towards the end of the album here. I really enjoy the placement of this one on the album, how the album kind of feels. Somebody said in the chat that this might be like a no skip album. So far, I got to agree. I might not be the craziest of some of like, like the non like radio hits, but there's something about each of these songs and how they add to the album as a whole that, man, like you put this on and it's a good part of your afternoon. If you want to throw this on as a whole, it's like a really good time. Sure, you might have a Honda Days ukulele song or something like that. And I'll get a little bit more into this as we conclude. I highly doubt the last 2 songs will change my mind, so to speak here. But there's a reason, obviously the hits have either close to 1 billion plays or almost close to 3 billion plays. Jeez. Look at this. Every song is over 100 million plays here. And I get it. Spotify plays aren't the end all be all of how you should be looking at an album, and I don't think it is. But just to give you a general sense on how people interact with a project, people are listening to this thing the entire way through. People are listening to this entire album. I never heard of The Judge. I never heard of Doubt. There's not a single song under 100 million plays. So this album has been played on the whole, from Spotify at least, 100 million times. And I think that is very telling of the project as a whole. So I kind of gave a conclusion there, but we'll save that. Moving on. Let's just get this. Let's get the ball rolling on this one. Not today.
See a whole world better off without me in it, trying to transform it. You are out of my mind. Oh, you aren't seeing my side. Oh, yeah.
waste all this time trying to get to me, but you are out of my mind. Heard you say, not today. Tore the curtains down, windows open now, make a sound. Not today, not today, not today,
And just a nice little tasty resolve to bring us back down. Yeah, I mean, this one, it's a happy song to sound. I mean, it's not the saddest song, and I know he calls it out, right? So it's just continuing of being like just very meta and very like, you know, perhaps overly transparent at this point in the album. Like I will admit, you know, there's a side of me that's like, okay, like I get it. You know, you're gonna like it's very self-referential in the sense like, you know, where does he say it? This one's a contradiction because of how happy it sounds, but the lyrics are so down. And I think there's two ways of looking at it. Either like you can accept it for what it is, and that's largely what I've been doing, and I think that's what I will continue to do as we only have one song left on this album. And the other side is like, oh God, I get it already. Like, holy shit. And we've kind of played with that idea earlier in the album, and I think it worked a little bit better earlier on, just as far as how the theme was kind of going with it. But I think sonically, I like this one a little bit more just because of the horns and the piano, just the way that it sounds, right? It's jumpy, it's fun, and just because of how jumpy and fun it was, it kind of took me out of really like whatever the themes were kind of going on here. So I don't know how much of that is in my own personal experience of listening to it. Is it the fatigue part of it? Because, you know, while I do get a lot out of the music and a lot out of this, doing it this way, I'm trying to be entertaining for you guys. You know, I'm trying to react to all of this for the first time and, you know, try to be as transformative as I can. But there are limitations of that. So maybe, you know, as far as the themes kind of going on here, you know, it might grow on me with this particular song, but I do like this. Just like listen to it, I could tap my foot to it, right? Somebody asked me in the chat, this was ska. Just because it has horns doesn't make it ska, okay? Right? Ska has horns. It's like a square is a rectangle, but not all rectangles are squares. Ska can have horns, but just because it has horns doesn't mean it's ska, okay? Actually, this isn't ska. Let me ask you this question. Does AJR predate 21 Pilots by a lot, or were they like contemporaries? So I feel like I hadn't even heard of AJR until like the 2020s, like the last 5 years. And it's songs like this where I'm like, this sounds like AJR. I'm not an AJR expert, but this is giving like heavy AJR here. And I know like that's another band that people like love to hate. Go on like any of those other like music rating forums, you say AJR bad, and people are like, they rip them off. Who is AJR? We don't talk about AJR. AJR tried to be TOP and failed because I'm hearing like this and I think about AJR and I'm hearing a lot of similarities. Now, I think I'll just give the edge to, if we're going to compare the two, but we don't have to, and it's kind of unfair to both bands, but just because we're talking about it, I'll give the edge to 21 Pilots just because they do have some songs that I absolutely love. And I enjoyed this project as a whole, and I've obviously now spent infinitely more time with 21 Pilots than I have AJR. But like I said, I know that like a lot of people like people love shitting on AJR, and this one it felt very similar. Living Room EP from AJR was great. Well, if you want me to listen to AJR, if there are some 21 Pilots fans and AJR fans in the chat, and you want me to listen to AJR, maybe I will. Last song of the album, Goner.
I wanna be known by you. I'm a goner. Somebody catch my breath. I'm a goner. Somebody catch my breath. I wanna be known. I've got two faces. Blurry's the one I'm not. I've got two faces.
Blurry's the one I'm not. I need your help to take him out. I need your help to inside out. You're underneath. Though I'm weak and beaten down, I'll slip away unto the sound. The ghost of you is close to me. I'm inside out. You're underneath. Don't let me be gone. Don't let me be. You.
All right, and that's the end of Blurryface here. And I think as far as like, you know, some of the stronger themes that came out through the album, like, you know, this concept of the blurry face, right? The titular character, so to speak. And how they brought that back at the end, that's very apt. I think that's very proper. And also, you know, people use this a lot as like a softer song to end an album. I think they did a cool thing here just by, you know, bringing it all back up. And, you know, this part where they're just, you know, Josh is just killing on the drums there and just making that snare. And I don't know if that was the crash or the hi-hat. There could have been the ride. You know, as a way to kind of build it all up before they bring it all back down for us at the end there. So I just you know, a pretty proper, even dare I say, standard way to end an album. But, you know, this theme of Polarized, or bowl of rice, as some people were putting it, you know, he's polarized, so to speak. You know, he's got these two faces, this part of him that he doesn't really like, and he got two faces. Blurry's the one I'm not, and he's capitalizing there as a proper noun, or at least, actually, I wouldn't even take that for what it's worth there, because sometimes the Spotify lyrics are kind of stupid. But if we want to look at it as, you know, the blurry face is the one that I'm not, as far as this blurry face is one that's a little bit less defined, a little bit more ambiguous. And he's trying to define himself through all these things about himself that he does, like his music. Now he uses the music to maybe defeat that part out of him or to cope with that. Blurry face is somebody who has a blurry face. Hey,
It's good shit, pal.
I need to listen to the rest of the albums now. There goes my night. Well, you know, if there's continuing lore there, you know, there might be enough there for me to look into. So if you want me to react to all their albums, please do let me know. And I know that, you know, maybe towards the end of this, I wasn't catching those themes maybe as much if they were there. I don't know, because there's two ways of looking at that as well. I think it's, you know, partially me as the audience member, as the listener, but also like there is something to be said about the artist of how well you're portraying those themes or those ideas out for people to grab. You know, there's I think the music as a whole was pretty accessible. Fuck it, we'll just do the conclusion now as I go and talk about that. So, initial thoughts, general thoughts on Blurryface. I liked this album a lot. I think this album was, dare I say, pretty damn good. Even though I don't like all of the songs on this as much as Stressed Out, Ride, Tear in My Heart, right? I think those songs really stand out. I liked how they played with the ideas and the themes throughout the album. Maybe the ones I could catch. I know that the few of the songs there, maybe I just wasn't down with them. And I think that might be it. Maybe I just wasn't down with them as much. However, the one thing that was consistent was just how much I liked listening to the songs. They were easy on my ears. If it wasn't just a straightforward song, because, you know, which one was it? You know, between Hometown and Not Today. Yeah. So like between like Hometown and Not Today, they were just like really fun songs to listen to. And I think I could take those back with me, because it's not only like how they're switching up the sounds in each individual song, but here's a ukulele song, here's the dance song, but it all still sounds like 21 Pilots. It doesn't sound like another band's doing this, to where it's weird that they're diversifying their sound in so many of these songs, but it still sounds cohesive. And I think that was a very ambitious goal, and they didn't fall on their face with it. I think they did stick the landing with that. And again, I can't tell you anything else that sounds like this. Maybe, with Not Today, like, is this AJR? Is this like proto AJR? But again, that's something that came out or was more notable after this album came out, I think. And I think I can say that pretty confidently here. I think there's a reason why people are still listening to this album. I think there's a reason why every song on this album, at least on Spotify, has over 100 million plays. When people put this album on, they listen to the whole goddamn thing. I think you can listen to this album, agree that not every song is going to be an absolute ass beater of a song, but between the production, the composition, it all met my ears very well. It all met my ears very well. One of my main criticisms could have been, like, it's very meta, it's very self-referential, but given, this, it's not a coming of age album, so to speak, but it's a very introspective album, and Tyler's like, here's what I deal with, here's how I try to get around it, and here's why I'm still struggling. Like Lane Boy, for example, right? People want us to stay in our lane. Fuck that. We're going to do what we do, right? Like I said, that reminded me of Mixed Up by 311. That's another band that's kind of had to stick their foot out and say, like, no. We can do all this shit. We can do crossover, and, he cares what people think, as he calls out in Stressed Out. And it's how he deals with that, and how music... For both of them. I know I'm talking about Tyler here primarily, but I'm sure that the same goes for Josh. And I think the creative energy between the duo is really outmatched, or they really outmatch their peers, rather. And again, I can see how people who poo-poo this album or poo-poo 21 Pilots is like, we want a little bit more subtlety. It's popular. We don't like it because of that. And I can play around with that, and I can see where that's coming from in a certain sense, but also, like, sometimes you just got to listen to it for what it is. And this is, it's a hell of a listen. I'm glad I finally listened to it. And because I was like, okay, is it going to be like, here are the pop radio hits, and is the rest of it going to suck? And it didn't suck. There are songs where I was like, yeah, okay, that one didn't hit me as much, but I still liked it. Cover of the album, lore. Ride, lore. The fact that it's on Spotify, lore. There's just so much lore to it. So I guess, the 21 Pilots journey does not have to start, or I guess the 21 Pilots journey doesn't have to stop here. So if you're watching this YouTube video and you want me to react to more 21 Pilots, let me know which album and why. Shouldn't I have, is it bad that I started with Blurryface? Because... is this their second album? Yes, it is. For all intents and purposes. No, their third album. I guess the self-titled was their first. I didn't even know they had a self-titled album. I thought Vessel was the first one. Vessel came out in 2013? Levitate, lore. Clancy, lore. Trench, lore. These two old fucks right here, lore. Suicide Squad, fucking Will Smith ass lore. But yeah, no, I think that if you haven't listened to 21 Pilots, it would behoove you to do so. So that was my reaction to Blurryface by 21 Pilots. It was about damn time for me. Like I said, the reputation preceded itself, and I was quite pleased with that. Again, let me know your thoughts on my thoughts down in the comments. If you want to see us live, make sure you check one of the links down in the description. Make sure you check out my post tab, or join the Patreon for free to see when I'm going live and what I'm going to be doing when I'm live. But with that said, I've been Jerry Bees. You've been awesome. Take it easy.
Diggity dog. Breaking. Diggity dog. Breaking.